Hello, how are you doing? Hope you're having a wonderful time wherever you are. Today, we're going to be looking at how to complete a promise with resolve and reject. We're still on our ES6 series and we are about to come to an end. I hope you've enjoyed it so far. I've also enjoyed creating these videos and I hope you've enjoyed watching them. So, without much wasting of time, let's get right into this. In our previous lesson, we looked at how to create a JavaScript promise. And JavaScript promise is so important. It is something that is always asked in JavaScript interviews and all that. So today we'll be looking at how to complete a promise with resolve and reject. It's pretty much straightforward. A promise has three states: pending, fulfilled, and rejected. The promise you created in the last challenge is forever stuck in the pending state because you did not add a way to complete the promise. The resolve and reject parameters given to the promise argument are used to do this. Resolve is used when you want your promise to succeed, and reject is used when you want it to fail. There are methods that take an argument. These are methods that take an argument as seen below. So we have our promise here, we have our resolve and reject are actually functions. So inside of our body, our promise body, we have two conditions. If condition here, resolve, else reject. The example above uses strings for the arguments of these functions, but it can really be anything. Often it might be an object that you would use data from to put on your website or elsewhere. This might not make so much sense now, but let's get into the exercise and then it's going to make so much more sense, I promise you. So here we're asked to make the promise handle success and failure. If response from server is true, right? Call call the resolve method to successfully complete the promise, pass a resolve string with the value, we got the data. If response from server is false, use the reject method instead and pass the string data not received. So basically we have our promise here called make server request. This promise is supposed to make a request to our server, and we have a response here in form of a variable. And we know that if this variable is true, right, we'd like to tell the user, right, or would like to, update our user interface. So once this if this response is true, we'd like to, call the resolve parameter or the resolve method to successfully complete the promise. But if it fails, we would like to call reject, saying, giving it a message like, okay, this didn't work. Sorry, it didn't work. So just let me show you a scenario. You're trying to you're trying to log into your Facebook account or something like that. That's an example of how a promise can be used. So imagine you put in your username and password, and then you're having a network problem and all that. So if if the call or the request to the server is successfully made, right? If the call to the server is successful, we want the your Facebook page, right? Your Facebook to open up into your feed or open up your profile. So that is where this line of code, that's where that this is where that action is going to be handled, right? So if the response from the server from your the Facebook servers are okay, we are able to get this person's username and password is correct, and we are able to get the information, yeah, we can move on to the next stage. Well, let's say we have a problem with your internet connection. We'd like to say, oh, sorry, this couldn't work. Check out your internet connection or something like that. Or maybe your username and password are wrong. It's going to be handled in this reject side, in this rejection. It's going to be handled with the reject method, right? But if your username and password are both correct and your internet connection is good, it's going to be handled with the resolve. So I hope that makes sense. Just like the word promise, it's not a promise could fail. A promise could just like if someone promises you something, the person could either fail to keep the promise or keep the promise. So that's the same thing here in JavaScript promise. So a request to the server might fail or might pass. So this promise is used to handle both situations in few lines of code. I hope that makes some sense. So going right into our exercise, it says that we should pass a resolve string with the value we got the data if the resolve if response from server is true. So if response from server is true, we're simply going to say resolve and passing the string. If it's not true, if the response from server is false, we're going to use reject to say data not received. I hope that makes some sense. Okay, I had hit Control Save, forgetting that I'm not on my VS Code. Okay, so let's go ahead and run our test, and I believe we are good to go. Perfect. So I hope you learned something. Don't forget to drop any comments if you have questions. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to your friends, and I'll see you in my next video.